Yo, what's good, guys? I said I'll do this video on my 140 sub special, which really wasn't a special. It's probably the worst one yet. And welcome to Super Mario Bros. 6 Enemy Design Leaks Parts 1 through 3 updated. Again. Yeah, I made a part 1, then 2, and 3, and then I made a compilation of those, kinda. And plus it was updated, and now it's updated again. Last time it was updated, it was at 75 enemies, and now there's a whopping 98. Yeah, I added a lot. But anyways, for those of you who don't know what SMB6 is basically my custom Mario game project. And since it's updated for the last time, and I finished the game back in September of last year, well, I'll show you guys what to expect before I show you guys all the levels that I made for the game. And one day I actually sat down and listed all 98 enemies, but in alphabetical order. So yeah, some of these enemies are actually new, while others I had to look at the Donkey Kong Country Returns wiki, and I had to make it similar to that by using, well, Mario Maker. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. And by the way, Mario's my test subject. I'm volunteer. Yeah, he's my volunteer. Totally. So let's go ahead and get started. And off to the left side of me, there's a paper that's off screen that has every single enemy from 1 to 98. So first up is Angel Bubble. And you know, as I'm listing these enemies, I'm basically showing you guys how to make one if you have Mario Maker. So basically, you have a Bill Blaster or a red one, it doesn't really matter. You place down a lava bubble, put wings on it, and then you put it inside. So what they'll do to attack you is that they shoot out from their Bill Blasters, and they'll just fly straight forward. And you know, I took some inspiration from the regular lava bubble, and I was like, why not make a flying version? And as I said, it can be shot out of either black or red Bill Blasters. It doesn't matter. But the difference with the red Bill Blasters is that it shoots faster. Next up is the Angry Sun. So this is one of the mini bosses of the game. And the first time you encounter it, you can't actually kill it, no matter what. Like, this guy's pretty much immune to all of your attacks. You can't jump on it because it's the sun. You can't cape swipe it. You can't bump your head into it with a shell mitt. So the only way to kill it is by using a shell, but you don't do that until the last levels of the game, where you get to fight him again. So basically, he just stays on the top left or top right of the screen, and every few seconds, he just swoops down. You know, Mario has so many enemies that even the sun is his op. Yes, the literal sun. Next up is Aqua Muncher, and we have to switch to underwater for this. So basically what you guys want to do is get a track, and then get a Muncher and put the Muncher on the track. So yeah, when I was coming up for ideas, I literally had none. So I was just like, let's just put a Muncher on a track in the underwater theme. Bam, new enemy. Totally. It's totally not a redesign of another enemy, but underwater. And they're immortal. So yeah, you can't kill them no matter what. Back to Airship. Next up is Banzai Bill. So what you do is just place it down, and then bam, you got a Banzai Bill. They're basically just big boy bullet bills. And all they do is that they just fly straight toward you. You can jump on it, cape swipe it. I think you can bump into it with a helmet. Yeah. Even though he's a big boy, he goes down pretty easily. Next up is the Blasta Mechakoopa. And yes, if you look at the description, that's actually how it's spelled. That's actually how Blasta is spelled. But anyway, they're basically red Mechakoopas, which I'll show later. Well, they're pink if you look at it differently. And what they'll do is that they shoot out a red missile at you that will follow you around until it eventually explodes. And if you can get it into a predicament, you can somehow manage to get the missile to kill its creator. And I know I mentioned this previous times, but there's a glitch where if you kick the Blasta Mechakoopa upward at the same time it wakes up, I did it wrong. Well, basically, it'll start killing its own missiles by shooting. Yes, when it tries to shoot a missile at you, it'll just... Yeah, it'll just start killing its own missiles for no reason. I don't know why I keep timing it wrong. So basically, it's a slow way of getting a one-up trick. Underwater. Next up, we have Blooper. And all you gotta do... Wrong guy. All you gotta do is just place him down. So they're one of the basic enemies of World 2. And they're basically the first annoying enemy that you encounter in the game. So basically, they'll either try to swim towards you when you're trying to swim towards it, or swim away from you. You know, it... Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but... Basically, the whole point of them is to be annoying. Oh yeah, for the enemy names that are from Donkey Kong Country Returns, it'll just be listed in the description because I'm not even gonna try to pronounce some of those, bro. Like, come on, they came up with the worst names possible. Next up is the Blue Aqua Flying Muncher. You're probably saying, Gamer Mally, didn't we already do that? No, we did not. So basically, to make a Blue Aqua Flying Muncher, you place down a blue pipe, and I'll tell you why later. You get a muncher, you make it a big boy, put wings on it, and then place it inside the pipe. And bam, you got a Blue Aqua Flying Muncher. They're also immortal, because if you try to bump them with your helmet, bro, they'll just crush you. So the reason why you put them in a blue pipe is because for whatever reason in this game, blue pipe spawns things the slowest. So after it jumps out and tries to take a bite of you because it thinks you're a snack, well, basically, you get some time to swim away. Back to Airship. I'm sure you missed this theme. Next up, we have the Blue Spike Top. And what you gotta do is just place on a blue spike top. So they're basically another version of the spike top, except, wait a minute. Here's the difference with the blue spike top. They can walk faster. Oh my god, that's such a huge difference between the two. Like, wow, one's red, one's blue, and one is slightly faster. That makes the blue one so much more threatening. Yeah. I'm sorry for going that sarcastic for that long. Back to underwater. Next up, we have Blurp. Yeah, I know the game calls these guys Cheeps, but if you look at the Super Mario World wiki, where blurps are from, they called the green Cheeps blurps. So that's why I called them blurps. So all you gotta do is just place on a blurp. And they're one of the basic enemies of World 2. So basically, all they do to attack you is that they just swim and run one direction. And you know, you can kill them pretty easily. Like, they're really not that threatening. And now it's time for another version of the Blurp Blaster. These are the more common variants of the Blurps. So you just place on a Bill Blaster, specifically the black one, and you just put a Blurp inside of it. And basically what it will do is that it will just shoot out infinite Blurps. Alright. Back to Airship. Next up, we have Bob-omb. Is that even how you pronounce this guy's name? I mean, you did not see what games I previously played. You did not see that. But is that even how you pronounce his name? Me personally, I just call him Bob-omb. And you know, he has bomb in his name. So, what do you think he does? So basically, for those of you who are dumb and don't know what bombs do, basically he just walks around peacefully until you jump on top of him. He'll start flashing red, and then he'll eventually explode like a bomb. And they're one of the enemies of World 7. Also, I don't mean to spoil it or anything, but World 7 is basically a whole bunch of complex machinery and robots and stuff. So get prepared for that. This is one of the newer enemies, Boo. No, that's not a super late Halloween joke. That's actually this guy's name. So yeah, Boo. So they only appear in one level of the game. So you can't jump on him, you can't cape swipe him, you can't bump into his body with a helmet. Otherwise, he'll just damage you. And if you look at him, he'll get scared. But here's the thing. If you look away, he'll start chasing after you. Very, very slowly. Yeah, even though they're pretty much immortal, like they can only be killed with a star. Like they're immortal, but yeah, they're still not that threatening. And here's an upgraded version of the Boo. The Boo Buddies. And it's just a circle of Boos. And they don't get scared when you look at them. And they don't chase you. Instead, they just spin in a circle. Really, they're not meant to be used as an enemy, but more of an obstacle. So yeah, that's a Boo Buddy for you. And here's one of the bosses of World 2. Yeah, World 2 has 3 bosses. I'm just letting you guys know that right now. But next up is Boom Boom. And he's one of the easiest bosses to defeat in the entire game. And since the last level is basically a boss rush, don't mean to spoil it. I'll show every boss's normal form and then upgraded form, since in the boss rush it's supposed to be harder. So for Boom Boom's first hit, he'll just stomp around, swinging around his fists and hiding his shell sometimes. On his second hit, he'll start jumping around. And then on his last hit, he'll start running super fast. And here's his upgraded version. He replaces his arms with wings. You know, like seriously, where did this man's arms go? So now that he has wings, he'll start flying around. And with each hit, he flies and dives at you faster. Next up, we got the biological son of the final boss, Bowser Jr. He's the second boss of World 2. And basically what he does to attack in his normal form is that he hops back and forth, he shoots fireballs at you, and then sometimes he ground pounds to stun you. So yeah, he's a pretty basic boss. You know, I consider him the first actually challenging boss to defeat in this game. And now his upgraded form. So instead of shooting fireballs, because I guess his mouth is just broken, instead he'll start chucking hammers at you. And when he ground pounds, he'll start flying for a little bit. And he'll do shorter hops. Oh yeah, and on his last hit, he has a chance to throw a shell at you. But it doesn't even matter because the shell can kill him anyway. See, he threw a shell. Buddy, you hit yourself with your own projectile. I honestly don't know where he got the shell from. Who knows? Maybe it's from leftover giant Koopas, which we'll get to in a minute. So yeah, that's Bowser Jr. Next up is Bullet Bill. All you gotta do is just place down a Bill Blaster, and that's it. And bam, it starts shooting out bullet bills. And what they do to attack you is similar to the Banzai Bills. They just fly straight forward at you. You know, despite being a bullet, they're really not that fast. At all. Now we got another version of the Bullet Bill. The Bullseye Banzai. It's basically a red Banzai Bill, but it will start following you. And they're a big boy. Yeah, but they're pretty slow since they're big. And now we have Bullseye Bill. You place on a red Bill Blaster. And even though these guys still aren't that threatening, I consider these guys the deadliest out of the Bullet Bill family. So they shoot out of their blasters, and instead of flying straight forward, they'll try to aim straight towards you, even doing freaking loop-de-loops just to get to you. But eventually they stop following you for like no reason. And they can only shoot out one at a time. It will honestly be cool if they could shoot out more than one at a time, but that's fine. Next up is the Buzzy Beetle. So they're small Koopas that just walk to damage you. So yeah, you can't kill them by jumping on them. You can't kill them by cape swiping them. So you're probably asking, what the heck do you do with these guys? Basically, to kill them, you just spin jump on top of them. You know, because the reason why you can't jump on top of them to kill them is because they have tough shells. Like seriously, I'm wearing a Buzzy Beetle helmet. Like this thing can protect you from like falling enemies and stuff that'll normally damage you if you don't have one on. So yeah, you just spin jump on top of them to kill them. Next up, we have Chain Chomp. All you gotta do is just place down a Chain Chomp. Sorry, Buzzy Beetle, I gotta delete you from existence. They're an enemy from World 3. And basically what they do to attack you is that they hop around for a little bit, and then they'll try to lunge at you, you know, attempting to bite you. But they can't really get that far because, I mean, look at them. They're stuck on a pole. And you can cape swipe them to kill them. You know, I think of Chain Chomps as like Chihuahuas. Because you know how Chihuahuas are aggressive all the time and they always want to bite someone? Yeah, Chain Chomps are basically like those. They're basically like those. Next up, we have Chain Chomp Stack. So you place 5 loose Chain Chomps all stacked on top of each other. These guys kind of form a wall. And, you know, just like Boo Buddies, they're kind of meant to be used as obstacles, but, you know, also moving walls. Underwater theme. Next up, we have Cheep. So this is the first enemy you see in World 2. And what they do to attack you is that they just swim back and forth, hoping to hit you. But, you know, you can just, like, you know, swim over them. Cause, like, you're underwater. Back to Airship. Next up, we have Creeper. No, not the Minecraft Creeper. And no, not the Luigi's Mansion Creeper. I'm talking about this kind of Creeper. You place on a Boo, and then you put wings on it. Alright, you gotta hear me out on why I called them Creeper. Alright. So they're basically like regular Boos. You know, they hate getting stared at like Enderman. And, you know, they're scared when you look at them. And you know how when you look away from a Boo, they start slowly chasing after you? Well, look at how the Creeper attacks. Yeah, when you look away, it locks onto you and it starts chasing after you like really fast. So yeah, you gotta watch out when you're encountering a group of these, because they can get deadly if you're in a predicament. And you know, that's why I called them Creeper. It's because, you know, they creep up on you really fast. And they don't stop at anything. Well, unless they're getting stared at, but still. Alright, next up we have Digging Mole. So what you gotta do is place a Monty Mole inside the ground. But wouldn't that despawn the enemy? Well, actually, no. You know, Monty Moles have this feature where if you put them inside the ground and you get close to it, they will dig out of the ground and they'll start chasing after you. You know, that's why I call them digging moles. They dig out of the ground, jump really high, and then they act like a normal Monty Mole, in which we'll get to a Monty Mole in a minute. Next up, we have Dry Bones. What you gotta do is just place under Dry Bones. They're the most basic enemy of World 6. And what they do is that they just walk around for a little bit and then they start chucking bones in the air. You know, they're a pretty unique enemy. Oh yeah, and for my lore for World 6, instead of making Dry Bones dead Koopas, which is what they are, I decided to make them dead Yoshis. And you'll see why when we get to the World 6 later. Bleh. When we get to the World 6 levels. Alright. This is another new enemy. Next up, we have Fiery Cheep. You place on a Cheep. And we gotta go to the castle theme for this. They're only found in one level in my entire Mario game. Actually, 2 levels in my Mario game project. So they're a Cheep that has been dipped in lava, and now they are on fire. It doesn't make sense why the Cheep doesn't get cooked. Because, I mean, come on, bro. You're literally just you're casually just taking a dive in lava. And, you know, you're lit on fire. And what they try to do is they hop around in the lava, attempting to chase you and hit you. But you can bump them with a helmet, and you can even cape swipe them. You know, they're a pretty unique enemy. You know, I like how they just get lit on fire. And I like the fire animation too. This is definitely one of the most complex enemies to talk about. Next up, we have the Fire Koopa Clown Car. It's an upgraded version of the Koopa Clown Car. So what they do to attack you is nothing. So you're probably saying, Gamer Mally, how does that make them an enemy? Well, it's kind of complicated. So let me try to do my best to explain how they're classified as an enemy. So let's say a random enemy somehow, let's say an enemy somehow gets hold of a fire clown car. Well, it'll take control of it and it will shoot fireballs at it. And depending on the enemy's size, that'll also determine the clown car's size. So if it's a small enemy like that Cheep, it'll be how it is. But if it's a big enemy like a Sledge Burrow, which we'll get to in a minute, it's gonna get huge. And even Mario can take control of this. You know, you can fly around, you can charge up for some fireballs. You know, but it's mostly used to just break walls. All right, next up, we have another enemy that's related to fire, kind of. Next up, we have Fire Parabones. It's an upgraded version of the Parabones, but it has a fire piranha plant on top of it. So now it can fly up and down, it can throw bones, and the fire piranha plant shoots fireballs every few seconds. But you can cape swipe it though. And you can't jump on top of it because it'll just damage you. Next up, we have Fire Piranha Plant. You know, they're basically the older brother of the Piranha Plant. Except they don't jump up and down. Instead, they're stationary and they shoot fireballs at you. But if you're far away, it doesn't really work. But we'll get to a better version of the Fire Piranha Plant in a second. Underwater theme. Oh, I forgot to delete him from existence. Also, fun fact, fish bones were actually not supposed to exist. Like, at all. But they... Yeah, I was kind of making one of the levels of World 2 and I accidentally put them in there. Yeah. I'm sorry, that's a reality, Fishbone. You weren't supposed to exist. And basically all they do is that they swim up and down or left to right, depending on how you place the track. And you can cape swipe them. Airship theme. And now it's time for the most threatening enemy in the entire game. the Galoomba. What you do is that you place it down, and here is why he is the most threatening enemy in the game. What he does to attack you is that he walks straight towards you. Oh my god, so threatening. But you can just do a little boom and pow. I'm sorry I use onomatopoeias. But yeah, they're basically the first enemy of the entire game. So obviously that means they're the most basic. You know, they don't really have anything special besides walking. I mean, they don't have arms to attack. Like, all they have is just feet. Alright. Next up is the giant jumping piranha. What you do is place down a green pipe, place down a piranha plant, make it a big boy, and place it inside the pipe. Alright, there you go. A giant jumping piranha. It's basically the jumping piranha, but big. You know, they come out of their pipe every few seconds, and they try to get a bite. You know, they're hungry. Because, you know, piranha plants are they're based off of a real-life plant and a real-life fish. You know, piranhas, which are aggressive fish, and they're based off of the Venus flytrap. No, I'm not even joking, guys. They're actually based off of piranhas and Venus flytraps. All right, next up is Giant Koopa. Prepare for the next few enemies having giant in their name. Because, you know, SMB6 really loves big boy enemies. So it's a Koopa Troopa, but a big boy. And, you know, Koopa Troopas are basic. But what makes this guy more threatening is that he's just big. So it makes it slightly harder to jump over him. And, you know, Koopa Troopas have a lot of animation put into them. Like, they can do that. So basically, you just jump on it once and then jump on it again to kill it. Next up, we have Giant Parabeetle. Now, these guys are actually meant to help you in one of the levels that I made. But, you know, they're also enemies. So throughout the level, you have to stand on top of them so that you can make some jumps. But they can also still damage you if you land in the wrong spot. Next up is Giant Paratroopa. What you gotta do is place on a red Koopa, make it a big boy, and put wings on it. And bam, you got a Giant Paratroopa. It's a Paratroopa, but big. And it takes 3 hits to kill a Giant Paratroopa instead of 2, like the Giant Koopa. Next up is Giant Tracked Muncher. It is the Tracked Muncher, but hold up. What is he? Big. Yeah. I tried to tell you guys that the next few enemies had giant in their name. All right, no more giant enemies. I promise. I promise. Next up is Goombud. So they're basically like the Galoomba, but here's the difference with them. They don't fall off edges. You know, when there's a pit nearby, they just turn around instead of walking off. You know, these guys are actually smart, despite having freaking googly eyes. Yeah. Hey, you think I'm kidding, bro? I'm not joking. Yeah. And as comparison, here's what the Galoomba would do. Yeah. Alright, let's put that hole back up before someone falls down it. Next up is Grinder. Even though this enemy isn't technically sentient, I decided to count it as an enemy. So they're basically just huge saw blades found in World 7. How the heck did I take damage there? Hold up, let's do that again. How did I take damage? That was weird. But anyway, they're huge saw blades that are found in World 7 and in other levels outside of World 7. And basically, they can be just floating in the air, or they can be on tracks, moving from left to right or up and down. And you know, they're immortal. Because, I mean, you can't... I mean, who just casually just jumps into a saw blade? We got another annoying enemy that's found in World 3. Next up, we have the Hammer Bro. Also, on the last SMB6 video I made, I found out Hammer Bros did this if you hold them long enough. Yeah, they throw hammers. that was a cool Easter egg. So basically what they do to attack you is that they throw hammers at you and they occasionally jump. And they have a chance of throwing 2 hammers at once. So yeah, they're basically meant to be the annoying enemy of World 3. This is actually the 98th enemy on the original list before I sorted it alphabetically. The Happy Koopa. This is found in the final world of the game, which I'm not going to spoil. And basically, they're like paratroopas in which, you know, they fly. But the thing is, for whatever reason, if you put wings on green Koopas, they don't fly. Instead, they do this. They just jump around. And, you know, I thought it was cute that they jumped around like that. You know, it made it look like they were skipping, like they were happy. So that's why I called them Happy Koopa. So, there you go. But you can still kill them. Yeah, I don't know why it took me so many attempts to kill that shell. But yeah, that's a Happy Koopa. Next up, we got the boss of World 5, Iggy Koopa. So for phase 1, what he does is that he just walks around trying to bait you into jumping on top of his head, and he shoots green projectiles at you. I don't know what those projectiles are. Like, really, they just look like donuts. For his second phase, there's an upside down Pacoon, which we'll get to in a moment, that shoots fireballs into the arena every few seconds. And then on his last phase, he grows wings. So instead of walking back and forth, he hops back and forth, like Bowser Jr. You know, the original World 5 boss fight in Donkey Kong Country Returns was not anything like my remake. Like, when I had to remake the boss fight, I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm doing that. So I just winged it. Yeah, and I created that. Next up, we got the only enemy that starts with the letter J, the Jumping Piranha. You know, it's like the giant one, but, you know, it's smaller. And the original guy. You know, they just want to bite. All right, the next 3 enemies have King in their name. So, you know, we got some kings. Next up, we have the King of Booze. And he's the only mini-boss in the entire game that you fight 3 times. You fight him once in World 7, another time in another world, and then the final time and then the final time is in the boss rush level. So here's his first fight. You know, he acts like a boo. but you know, he's big. And you have to find a star to kill him. Why did I delete him? And here's the second and last fight. You know, he grows wings, so now he acts like a creeper. You know, imagine if the actual King Boo was a boss in Mario Maker. That would have been really cool. You know, maybe I could have came up with something better, but that's what I got. Next up, we have the final boss of the game. Yeah, I'm sorry to spoil it, but it's really not that big of a surprise. It is Bowser. Oh, wait. He has King in his name. So here's his official name for Super Mario Bros. 6. King Bowser Koopa. You know, he's the boss of the Koopa troop. And you know, the final boss, the one responsible for capturing Peach. And he just does all this stuff. So on his first phase, it's basically a survival test. Because you're not actually meant to kill Bowser. So you just gotta wait to get a key while surviving. And you know, he shoots fireballs. And occasionally he shoots fireballs into the air that splatter onto the arena. And I mean, you can kill him if you want, but it's gonna take a while. And a lot of luck. In the second phase, he just has some bill blasters getting fired at you. And then for his last phase, you fight him on the bridge. You know, it's like the classic bridge fight from Super Mario Bros. 1, but with a twist. You can't jump over him this time. Not only because he's too tall to jump over, but because there's these pink things called bumpers. You know, only enemies can go through it and not Mario. So when Bowser jumps up into the air, you just gotta run underneath him. And you know, you gotta touch the axe and then you finally kill him and save Peach, right? Except for the fact that he has the audacity to jump backwards sometimes. I don't know, Nintendo, that just seems really unfair. Like, he should not be able to jump backwards. But, you know, Bowser just does a bunch of random malarkey. And now the final king. We have a mini-boss, King Parabeetle. He's the king of the Parabeetles. And basically, throughout the level that he's in, he just sends his Parabeetle minions to kill you. And when that doesn't work, he literally chases you down at the end. And then he dies. Yeah. Next up, we have the Koopa Cloud Card. It's the downgrade of the Fire Koopa Cloud Card. But I mean, you can still fly. And plus, look at that smile. Yeah, look at that smile. Next up, we got the basic enemy of the Koopa Troopa. Why did I just say that? We got the basic enemy of the Koopa Troop. And that is the Koopa Troopa. You know, he's the basic enemy of the Koopa Troop. So he doesn't really have that many specialties. And he's actually the second enemy of the game. And fun fact, throughout Worlds 1 through 8, Koopa Troopas can be found literally anywhere. Yeah, so basically Bowser's plan is to capture Peach and then send out the Koopalings and the rest of his Koopa Troop to basically destroy the entire economy of the Mushroom Kingdom. You know, this could go from stealing water to ruining habitats to freaking flooding a forest to cutting down trees, bro. Yeah, they're trying to do a lot. Next up, we have Lakitu. So yeah, Lakitus, yeah. What he does is that he just follows you around by flying on his cloud, and he could throw a lot of stuff at you. But what he usually throws most of the time are bombs. If you don't give him anything to throw by default, he'll just throw spinies at you. So yeah, once he throws a bomb at you, you have a short amount of time to throw it back up at him to kill him. Next up is the boss of World 1, and the first boss of the entire game, Larry Koopa. You know, for the first boss of the game, yeah, obviously he's pretty basic. All he does is just jump around and shoot cyan magic projectiles. And I don't care what you guys say, that color is cyan. So yeah, his first two phases are the same. And for his third phase, he grows wings. So with his wings, he can jump so high on his last hit that he can literally jump above the screen. Yeah, he can jump that high apparently. Also, I don't know how having wings makes him able to jump higher. I don't even understand how he has the hops anyway. So yeah, he's the first boss of the game. Next up is Lava Bubble. You know, usually you will find these guys in lava, but we're an airship theme, so there's no lava. It basically, they're one of the basic enemies of World 8. They just jump in and out of the lava, hoping to hit you. And the only way to kill them is by bumping them with a shelmet. And we got an upgraded version of the Lava Bubble, the Lava Bubble Train. So usually they're in rectangles like this, and then you place 4 big lava bubbles. You got to make sure they all go in the same direction. And bam, you got a lava bubble train. Now, sometimes they do spawn a little bit broken. Because for whatever reason in this game, enemies on tracks do not spawn the way you place them. So, just deal with it if they spawn wrong. Next up, we got the boss of World 3. Oh yeah, I forgot about Larry for his final fight. Oh yeah, and Iggy. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. For Larry, yeah, basically a bunch of hoppy... Did I really just say that? A bunch of happy Koopas just joined the arena. And then for Iggy, there's a grinder across the ground, so you gotta jump when it comes to you. Alright, let's get the Lemmy now. Alright, so Lemmy's the boss of World 3. And for his first fight, for phase 1, he flies around in a Koopa clown car and he shoots green balls at you because he hopes to push you into bombs that are ready to explode on your head. But you know, you can also bounce off the balls, so yeah, you can... Yeah, he's kind of being nice, but also being mean. Also, fun fact about Lemmy, he actually doesn't want to kill Mario. He's just forced to, because Bowser says so. And then for his final phase, on his first fight, he upgrades to a Fire Koopa clown car, so now he can shoot fireballs every few seconds. And he has wings, so he can somehow fly the Koopa clown car slightly faster with wings. Like, bro, just put your foot on the pedal, my guy. How do you even control a Koopa clown car? That somehow hit me. And then for his final fight, I just deleted Lemmy from existence. You know, Lemmy's clown cars no longer work since you kind of destroyed them the first time. So what he does now is that he stands on top of a ball and he shoots more balls at you to push you into lava. And he'll start hopping around on his ball. By the way, this is what he does without wings. Yeah, he rolls the ball around. So yeah, that's interesting. Next up, we have Loose Chain Chomp. It's a chain chomp, but you know, he's free. And you know, they're ready to bite someone. Yeah. Next up is my favorite Koopaling out of all 7 of them. Or 8 if you count Bowser Jr. as one. Ludwig von Koopa. And fun fact about all the Koopaling names, they're actually based off of real life music artists. You know, Ludwig being named after Ludwig von Beethoven. And no, I'm not joking. He's actually named after Beethoven. So yeah, his first phase of his first fight is kind of complicated, so I'm not even gonna try to portray it here. For his second phase, he'll jump into the air, start fluttering with his legs, and he uses his wings to fly for a little bit, and he'll start shooting 2 more bursts of blue projectiles. You know, Ludwig is easily the smartest out of all the Koopalings. Because, like, this man clearly knows what he's doing. Oh, yeah, and to make it harder, there's a Zappa Mechakoopa that shoots a laser across the ground every few seconds. So, yeah, even more stuff you gotta dodge. And on his last hit, instead of shooting 3, he shoots 5 magic projectiles. Yeah. And then for his upgraded fight, yeah, I kind of had no idea what I was supposed to do. So you want to know what I did? I added another Ludwig. So yeah, you got more projectiles to dodge. I'm sorry, guys. I ran out of ideas. That was the best I could do, okay? That was the best I could do. Oh, yeah. He's the boss of World 7. All right. We're on the back page now. One of the newer enemies. We have Mechakoopa. For the longest time, I thought this guy's name was pronounced Maggie Koopa. I don't know what was wrong with me. But yeah, it's pronounced Mechakoopa. Don't make that mistake like I did, guys. And they're actually pretty unique. So what they'll do is that they shoot out PlayStation symbols at you. And what those things are supposed to do is that it turns blocks into a random item, like a coin or mushroom, or it could be something like a Koopa. And they can teleport, as you can see. But you can still kill them pretty easily. Next up is the Mechakoopa. They're the most basic form of the Mechakoopas. So yeah, the regular Mechakoopas are green. And all they do is they just walk around slowly. And they try to chase you down. And you know, you can do the same glitch like with the Blasta Mechakoopa. But instead of shooting out missiles and killing them, oh, I actually did it. You know, basically the Mechakoopa will just bulldoze through every enemy that it walks into. Oh yeah, and if you try to use it on a Zappa Mechakoopa, it just doesn't work. Like, the glitch only works with the Mechakoopa and the Blasta Mechakoopa specifically, but not the Zappa Mechakoopa, though. I don't know why it works with these two specifically. Next up, we have the first mini boss of the game, Mini Boom Boom. It's basically Boom Boom, but small. And you fight 4 of them. Alright, next up is Mining Mole. It's basically a Monty Mole on top of a Muncher. They're stationary. They're meant to be used as an obstacle in one of the levels. You know, you're disturbing their mining. They're trying to mine them diamonds, guys. Like, let him cook. All right, next up we have another new enemy, the Mole Bomber. And you know, it's exactly how it sounds. It's a Monty Mole that has a bomb on top of his head. And you know, it acts like a Monty Mole chasing you down. But since the bomb eventually explodes, they're basically just sacrificing themselves. And they also hope to explode you as well. But it's not that difficult to avoid them. Next up, we got the original guy, the Monty Mole. You know that they're mostly found in mineshaft levels. And you guys will know that the level is a mineshaft level if it'll start playing the N64 music. You know, this music. Hold up, let me get to it. This music. Yeah. Next up is Morton Koopa Jr., my least favorite out of all 7 Koopalings. And I still have no reason why. You know, maybe personality-wise and gimmick-wise, Morton probably has the worst. You know, even with Larry, he's literally supposed to be the easiest Koopaling to defeat. That's basically his purpose. Iggy's supposed to be the hyperactive and wacky guy. Miss Wendy here is supposed to be the female Koopalings. Lemmy's supposed to be like the silly guy. Roy's supposed to be the buff guy. Ludwig is the smart guy and the oldest out of the Koopalings. And then Morton, basically his personality is just being dumb. I'm not even joking. That's actually his personality. He's actually the dumbest of all the Koopalings. And somehow one of the harder bosses. Who knew that his dumbness would actually come to use one day? So he's the boss of World 6. And for his first phase of his first fight, he'll do short hops. He'll leap up into the air. He'll do a ground pound to stun you. And if you get stunned, yeah, you're getting hit by those fireballs. And he has a super rare chance of shooting out yellow magic projectiles. You know, in Mario Bros. Wii, his magic projectiles were pink, but now they changed it to yellow. Maybe they wanted to make him less fruity. In his second phase, there's 2 burners on the sides. You know, when the left burner is on, the right one is off. And when the right one is on, the left is off. And then his final phase, he'll do bigger hops. And when he does a ground pound, you know, he'll try to bait you, but still jump anyway. I don't know why he's not doing it here. Maybe because the ceiling's too low. Oh, now he's doing it. So yeah, even if he baits you, just jump anyway, because you never know. It's actually unpredictable. And then for his final fight, yeah, a fire Cheep just jumps around. So now you got burners, fireballs, Morton stun locking, Morton himself, and the fire Cheep to worry about. So yeah, there you go. Next up is Beetle. They're usually found in the World 4 levels. And you know, they're King Beetle's minions. And you can stand on top of them to ride on them. Yeah, they're basically a free ride, but also an enemy. Next up is Parabones. Yeah, they're literally just flying dry bones. And if you step on top of it, it loses his wings and it will turn into a normal dry bones. And I forgot to mention this with the normal dry bones, but if you don't cape swipe it, which will actually kill the dry bone, this is what it does. You know, you think it's dead, right? Wrong. It comes back to life. Bro, imagine if Minecraft skeletons could do that. It would be so much more it would be so much more scarier to fight them. Also, pro tip for Minecraft skeletons: don't even attempt to fight them until you get iron armor or something. All right, next up is the parachuting mining mole. It's a mining mole, but they have a parachute. They're also meant to be used as obstacles, and they never actually touch any ground. They just sort of parachute to their death. Next up, we have parachuting thwomp. You know, with the normal thwomp, if you're too close to it, it'll just fall straight on your head. But with the parachuting thwomp, you actually don't even know it has a parachute. You know, when you're getting a little bit close to a thwomp, it gives you that nasty look. Like, bro, what did I do to you? You know, I should actually start using this face for memes, bro. You know, when I have to edit for some videos. And, you know, you think it's about to fall straight on your head. Wrong. It falls slowly on your head. Next up is the Paramecha, another new enemy. It's a Mechakoopa with wings. And, you know, they can fly from left to right. Most of the time, they're just used to make some extra jumps and stuff. But, you know, they're still an enemy regardless. Next up is Muncher. Prepare for some enemies having para in their name. Get used to it. So yeah, here's how you make the Muncher. So yeah, it's basically a paratrooper, but it has a muncher on top of his head. So now you can't even jump on him because, you know, you will take damage. So really the only way to kill it is cape swipe it and hope it's flying right over a pit. Next up is Para Mushroom. You're probably asking, what the heck is a Para Mushroom? Well, let's switch it to the ground theme in nighttime. So for whatever reason, in the nighttime ground theme, 1-ups turn into rotten mushrooms. So that's what a para mushroom is. It just flies straight towards you. And you know, if you touch it as Kate or Big Mario, you just get damaged. And if you touch it as Small Mario, you die. Because you know, it's poison. So yeah. Next up is Paraspiny. Back to the airship theme. In the daytime, of course. So they're basically flying spinies. And you know how we just did the Parabeetle earlier? Well, basically, I think of Buzzy Beetles and Spinies as like cousins. Because, you know, these guys have tough shells. These guys have spikes on their shells. And these guys just fly normally. And you can stand on top of them to ride them. Meanwhile, with these guys, you don't. Because, you know, they have spikes on their head. And you'll just get damaged. And here's what they do while flying. They shoot out spikes that fly in 4 directions. I wish the spikes were a bit faster so that it would actually be deadly, but you know, they're pretty slow and easy to dodge. Next up is Paratroopa. It's the normal Paratroopa. You know, anytime you see a red-shelled Koopa, you know, just expect for it to be a Paratroopa. And you know, green Koopas and red Koopas are like Galoombas and Goombuds. The red ones turn around when they come to an edge, while the green ones fall off. Next up, we have Piranha Plant. So yeah, what they'll do is that they do little short hops because they're getting ready, and they jump up into the air to eat Mario's booty. You know, they need that snack. Like, bro, buddy, if you want something to eat, you can just get some Cheez-Its or something. All right. Next up is Poisonous Cheep. So remember earlier when we did the Fiery Cheep? So we're gonna showcase its cousin, well, really brother. We gotta switch to the jungle theme at night, because for whatever reason, at nighttime in the jungle, water turns into poison. These guys are only found in 1 level too. So with the Poisonous Cheep, they just casually take a dive into some deadly poison. And you know, they act like the Fire Cheep, hoping to hit you and hopping around. You know, I don't really like the animation with the poison that much as the fire, but it's still pretty cool. Back to the airship in daytime. Oh, I switched to the castle. I'm dumb. All right. Next up, we have Pokey. Now, most of the time when you see Pokies, they're usually 2 units tall. And what they do to attack you is that they just walk slowly towards you. And, you know, despite being a literal moving cactus that's sentient, you know, you can spin jump on top of them like it's nothing. And you can cape swipe them. But there are some Pokies that are the max height. You know, usually acting as a wall. Underwater theme. Now we got the blue Aqua Aqua Flying Muncher's brother, the red Aqua Flying Muncher. You place down a red pipe, and then bam, bam. No, make him big. There. So the difference with the red and the blue one is that the red is the faster one, while the blue is the slower one. Like, once it goes back in the pipe, you pretty much have almost no time to escape it. It's gonna come right back out. Because for whatever reason, red pipes just spawns things the fastest. Alright. Back to airship. Alright, so remember the blue spike top? We're gonna do his younger brother now. The red spike top. So, you know, he's red. He has the huge spike on his back. He can climb walls and ceilings. And, you know, he's the slower one of the two. While the blue one is the faster one. Alright. Next up, we have Rocky Wrench. So, he's one of the enemies of World 6. And, you know, while I was coming up with ideas for the enemies, bro, you know, I literally couldn't find anything similar. I tried using small dry bones, but I already used those. And then I tried making the smaller dry bones, the big dry bones, but that didn't seem right. So, and then I looked at the enemy roster and I was like, dang, bro, what should I use? And I found out that I didn't use the Rocky Wrench for anything yet. So I was like, why not go with the Rocky Wrench? So basically, they just bury themselves in the ground. They peek. They do a little peek, and then they throw a wrench at you. You know, they're basically smarter Monty moles. No, like literally, they're just Monty moles that somehow have a shell on their back. I don't know how that works, but okay. Next up, we got the Rotten Mushroom. Back to the nighttime ground theme. Now, the Rotten Mushroom is actually deadlier than the Para Mushroom. Oh yeah, the Rotten and the Para Mushroom are only featured in one level. And what the Rotten Mushroom basically does is that it's a poisonous mushroom. You know, you die if you touch it as Small Mario, and you just take damage if you're Cape or Big Mario. And it will just follow you around. It can even jump up walls that are up to 2 units tall. You know, basically they just want to sacrifice themselves just to kill you. You know, if that makes any sense. You know, the killer wants to be killed so that it can also kill you. Alright, switch back to daytime. Because yeah. Next up, we got the final boss of World 2. Roy Koopa. So what Roy does is that he digs into the ground. He comes out from a random spot. If he comes out from a ceiling, he'll do a ground pound. And he shoots pink magic projectiles at you. For his final fight, he grows wings. So now when he digs out, he'll start trying to bait you. And now he can fly after digging out. You know, it's not really that much of a difference, but you know, it's something. Next up, we have the Sledge Bro. It's basically an upgrade and a downgrade of the Hammer Bro. Let me explain. So you know how that Hammer Bros have a chance of throwing 2 hammers at once? So Sledge Bros are slightly faster with throwing their hammers, and they don't throw 2 hammers at once. but they make up for that by ground pounding to stun you. So basically, once it tries to stun lock you, you basically just... Yeah, that's basically the perfect time to strike. And now we have to switch to the snow theme for these next few. Hold up, guys. Sorry, guys. I had to use a little bathroom break.
Yeah, right.
Alright, this next enemy is the Snow Pokey. So remember the Pokey? You know, the sentient cactus that just moves slowly and hopes to hit you because, you know, he's a cactus? Well, introducing the Snow Pokey. They're only found in one level of the entire game. And basically, they're just Pokies, but white. They have a Christmas hat on. Sorry, guys. You are, like, more than a week late. And you can actually jump on top of Snow Pokies. And they turn into snowballs that you can throw. And that's where our next enemy comes in. Next up is the Snow Spike. You know, they're just spikes that are in the snow theme. Also found in one level of the entire game. And instead of throwing spike balls at you, they throw snowballs. You know, they push you. You know, usually they're placed right next to pits. So that if you get pushed by a snowball, you die. Next up is the normal version of the spike, which is Spike. You know, as I said earlier, they throw spike balls that can actually damage you. They're also stationary. So, yeah, use their own weapon against them, I guess, if you have a cape feather. If not, just jump on their head. Next up, we got Spiny. They just walk across the ground, hoping to hit you. Yeah, they hope to hit you with their spikes, but you can spin jump on top of them. And what you got to do to kill them is that you got to cape select them and spin jump on their belly to kill them. Next up is Stretch. It's another new enemy and another Boo variant. So yeah, it's basically a Boo, but it actually it slides across the ground. They don't mind getting stared at either. You know, they can either have no wings or they can have wings. If they have wings, though, the only difference is that they slide across ceilings and walls. No, not walls. Ceilings and the ground for how long the ground is and how long the ceiling is. And you know, they're faster. And these guys are used as obstacles for the King Boo fight. And yeah, for King Boo's second and third fight. Next up is Thwomp. Yeah, remember the parachuting Thwomp from earlier? Yeah, here's the real guy. As I said, if you're getting a little close to them, they give you that nasty, nasty look. And if you're close to them or right underneath them, they'll attempt to fall on your head. Alright. Underwater theme. It's another new enemy, only found in one level. We have the Torpedo Bone. Yeah, for one level, I just remembered the fish bone and I was like, dang, these guys are stuck on tracks. So introducing the Torpedo Bone. I would call them Torpedo Ted, but we don't have Torpedo Teds in this game, so yeah. These are the closest things I could find to those. So basically, they're free, and when they notice you, their eyes light up, and then they just start shooting forward at you, bro. You know, like a torpedo. Next up is Tracked Muncher. Yeah. They're basically just flying munchers that just move along tracks. They're immortal. Another new enemy, the Trodden Piranha. You place a Monty Mole and then a Piranha plant on top of it. Yeah, I took some inspiration from the Trodden Piranha plant from Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And you know, since we can't make piranhas walk in this game, this is the closest I can find to that. You know, a Monty Mole charging right at you with a piranha plant on top of it. Next up, we have upside down Buzzy Beetle. So, you might think it's just a Buzzy Beetle that's literally just upside down, but here's the thing, it actually tries to attack you. You know, it climbs along ceilings, and once you're too close to it, it'll drop down from the ceiling and it'll start spinning in a shell, hoping to hit you. Yeah. Next up is upside down Pacoon. The reason why I named them that is because I learned that piranha in Japanese is Pacoon. Yeah, I hope to learn Japanese one day. You know, I've actually learned a few words in Japanese. Yeah, I learned that Goomba in Japanese is Karibo. So that was interesting. So basically, they're Fire Piranha Plant 2.0 because they just have better aim. Like, just get good, Fire Piranha Plant. Alright. Next up is Urchin. Underwater theme. So if you place spike traps in the underwater theme for Super Mario World, they turn into urchins. Most of the time, they're just meant to be used as spikes, but for underwater. But only in one actual level, they're meant to be used as enemies, where they're meant to intimidate Mario and his friends. Alright. Next up is Wendy O. Koopa, the only female boss of the entire game. And you know, she's the boss of World 4. And if you really think about it, she actually acts a lot like Larry. She just jumps around and shoots stuff. You know, the things that she shoots is these magical donut things that just bounce along the walls and ceilings in the floor. So yeah, in her boss fight, you actually fight mining moles for the first 3 phases, and then for phase 4, you fight Wendy herself. And I like how she jumps in the air when she shoots a ring at you. And for her final fight, there's 2 angel bubbles flying across the screen, and she jumps higher now because she has wings. So that's great. Next up is Wiggler. You know, when I was making all the enemies for this game, no, I actually had a really hard time what I was supposed to use for one of the enemies. You know, one of the enemies just jumps around. They're called Tiki Boing. You know, it's a Tiki, but they just go boing. And I was having a really hard time with that. Oh yeah, same thing with Hammer Bros. I had no idea what I was supposed to use for the replacement because the original enemy is called Stilts. And there's a big version that just walks on bamboo sticks and a small version that just runs around like a headless chicken. You know, originally I tried using Wigglers because, you know, it was kind of similar to that. But yeah, I wanted you to be able to jump on it to kill it. So I was just like, let's use Hammer Bros because, you know, there's a small and big one. And with the Tiki Boing, I decided to use Wigglers with wings. So yeah, we have Wiggler. What he does to attack you, well, really, he doesn't even try to attack you at first. He just bounces around peacefully. But if you jump on top of his head, he will turn red. He will start jumping higher, and he will chase you down. So yeah, just don't mess with these guys. These guys have some hidden power. Like, trust me, they're only using 0.000002% of their power. All right, next up, we have Winged Jumping Piranha. You know, I could have called it a Para Jumping Piranha, but that just didn't sound right. So I went with Winged Jumping Piranha. These guys are only found in World 5. They're jumping piranhas, but they can jump higher, and they can fly for a little bit, and they take longer to go back down into their pipe. So yeah, watch out for these guys. Next up, we have Winged Muncher. Only found in a few levels. They're basically tracked munchers, but, you know, wings. And they're faster. That was not supposed to happen. I was supposed to demonstrate what they do. Yeah, basically they do that. Next up, we have Wrecking Ball. You're probably asking, what the frick is a Wrecking Ball? Hear me out, guys. He's basically the king of all the chain chomps. You know, one of the mini bosses. For his first fight, yeah, it's kind of complicated. You're not meant to kill him. You're supposed to wait for a power block while surviving. Oh yeah, he's supposed to have wings. Sorry about that. So yeah, that's Wrecking Ball. So you gotta wait for him to jump over you. And the reason why you can't jump over him is because there's a huge fire bar blocking you. And you know you're not supposed to die. So you just wait for a power block while surviving, and then you throw the power block at him. And for his second fight, he just swings along a track. And you gotta bait a thwomp to kill a hammer bro for a key. So yeah. And now we got Wrecking Chomp. They're loose chain chomps, but they swing along tracks. Oh, he's supposed to have wings. I'm dumb. So yeah, they're kind of deadly if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah, they're usually found on tracks like that. And now for our final enemy alphabetically, the Zappa Mechakoopa. There you are. They're the blue Mechakoopas and the most deadly out of all the Mechakoopas. Possibly one of the most deadliest enemies in the game. So basically what they do is that they walk around for a little bit, they open their mouth, charge up for a laser, and they shoot out a huge blue laser that has some insane range. And you know, they just hope to hit you. Like, bro, not even a Shelmet can protect you from the laser. That's how powerful these guys are. So yeah, that is every single enemy. So those are all 98 enemies that you guys should expect to see throughout every single level of SMB6. And with that, your boy's out. Oh yeah, by the way, I will capture the frogs soon, so be ready for that.